When night falls and sound withdraws, the archive remains. No instruction, no urgency, only structure, only interval. True wisdom cannot be captured in words. It is found only in the silence between them. A space opens without announcement, not because something has been added to the room, and not because something has been taken away, but because the relations between things loosen in a way that cannot be pointed to directly. The walls remain where they have always been. The floor carries the same quiet weight. Objects rest in their places without shifting even a fraction. And yet the atmosphere alters, as if a subtle hinge in perception has turned by a degree too small to measure. Emptiness is often mistaken for absence. Absence suggests loss, a missing piece, a deficit waiting to be repaired. But what appears here is not lack. It is capacity. It does not demand to be filled. It does not request attention. It does not argue for meaning. It simply exists as a condition in which things can appear without being held too tightly. A ceramic bowl sits somewhere in memory, ordinary and unadorned. Its surface is smooth but not flawless. Its weight is modest in the hand, cool at first touch, warming slowly with contact. Through the day, it has collected small remnants of experience, unfinished thoughts, quiet pressures, fragments of conversation, images that returned more than once. None of these are dramatic. They simply accumulate. The bowl becomes occupied. Its interior grows dense. When full, the bowl is not wrong. It is simply full. But fullness carries weight. When weight exceeds balance, the smallest additional drop becomes strain. Not catastrophe. Strain. Letting go begins as a motion so slight, it almost goes unnoticed. A tilt. A yielding to gravity. Water moves toward the lowest point without resistance. It does not cling to the interior surface out of loyalty. It follows the shape of the bowl. It empties without ceremony. The bowl does not become enlightened, it becomes available. Clay remains clay. Curve remains curve. The interior regains its quiet openness. The surface, now clear, can receive light again without distortion. Emptiness here is not void. It is readiness. It is the simple absence of excess. Even sound behaves differently in such a space. A distant movement occurs somewhere beyond the room. It is registered, but it does not demand interpretation. It arises and subsides without leaving residue. Nothing insists on remaining. The archive does not record relief. It records structure, containment, release, restored capacity. A garden at night carries a different texture of stillness. It does not explain itself. It does not instruct the one who stands within it. Stone remains stone. Gravel remains gravel. Moss holds moisture in thin, quiet layers. Air moves without urgency. A single stone rests on raked gravel. Its edges are irregular, shaped by forces long past. The gravel surrounding it is pale where dry, darker where it has absorbed the evening's dampness. The interval between stones is not accidental. It has shape. It has proportion. Remove the interval and the garden collapses into density. Remove the stone and the interval loses its boundary. Form and openness sustain each other without negotiation. Moonlight settles across the surface of rock, revealing small ridges and depressions that are invisible by day. Shadow gathers beneath the stone, not as drama but as consequence. The stone does nothing. The relation between light and surface produces depth. A leaf detaches from a branch somewhere above. It turns once in the cool air, perhaps twice, guided by the simple interaction of shape and resistance. It meets the ground with no sound distinct from the rest of the night. Contact is brief. The leaf becomes part of the surface it touches. Change proceeds quietly. The stone cools by degrees. Moisture gathers along edges where air lingers. The moon shifts its angle in increments too small to notice moment by moment. Only over time does movement reveal itself. Impermanence here is not spectacle. It is sequence. The fallen leaf darkens with dampness. Later, it softens. Later still, it becomes part of the soil. Soil nourishes roots. Roots support blossom. What appears as loss reorganizes as transformation when observed without hurry. A narrow path of stones leads across the garden. Each step meets the earth, then leaves it. No step can be kept. No contact can be repeated precisely. Yet the path persists because repetition does not require permanence. It requires only that conditions recur. Stone beneath, weight above, balance shifting, then restored. The garden holds this without commentary. Nothing asks to be solved. Nothing asks to be carried. True wisdom cannot be captured in words. It is found only in the silence between them. Rain begins as a single completed descent. One drop separates from the roof's edge and falls through the cool air. It strikes stone and disperses into a thin, spreading film. Then another follows. Soon the night is patterned with impacts so soft they barely qualify as sound, yet steady enough to form a rhythm. Under the eaves of an old temple, wood darkened by decades receives moisture. Grain swells almost imperceptibly. Stone steps cool further. Water gathers at the lip of the roof, held briefly by surface tension before yielding to gravity. Each drop forms, swells, detaches, falls, and dissolves into contact. None remain suspended. None argue with their path. The garden receives the rain without rearranging itself. Gravel deepens in tone. Moss glows darker, richer. Lines once crisp soften at their edges. In shallow hollows of stone, water collects and rests. For a moment, the sky appears within these small basins, an inverted fragment of cloud and moon. Another drop falls. The reflection trembles, then breaks into ripples. Image gives way to motion. Motion settles. The hollow remains ready to receive again. The rhythm of rain depends as much on pause as on impact. Drop, interval, drop. The interval is not empty. It is the field in which the next drop becomes perceptible. Without the pause, there is no pattern. Without space, there is no sound distinct from itself. Distant noises exist beyond the rain. A muted engine, a shifting beam, the subtle contraction of wood adjusting to dampness. The rain does not silence them. It softens their edges, absorbing sharpness into a steady texture. The temple does not speak. Its beams expand and contract with humidity in movements too small to announce. A bell once hung here. Its vibration ended long ago. The structure that held it remains. Rain continues. Drop, interval, drop. The pattern sustains itself without interpretation. True wisdom cannot be captured in words. It is found only in the silence between them. Gradually, the rain thins. Drops separate into mist. Mist disperses into air. The garden persists, altered, unaltered, because it isn't a single state but a structure capable of variation. Water drains from stone hollows. Reflections vanish without ceremony. The gravel lightens as moisture recedes. The moss retains a darker tone a little longer, holding what it has received before releasing it back into air. The night settles into a softer continuity. Without the steady pattern of rain, contrast lowers. Edges blur slightly. The world becomes less divided into object and interval. It becomes a quiet volume. Breath continues as part of this volume, not directed, not managed, simply present. Inhalation forms, exhalation releases. Between them, a brief interval appears, subtle, nearly unnoticed, unless nothing else demands attention. Thoughts may still arise. When they do, they move across the surface of awareness like water across stone. They arrive, make contact, and pass. No effort is required to push them away. No effort is required to hold them in place. The surface is not adhesive. An unfinished task remains unfinished. It does not demand resolution within this field. A circle need not close to be stable. An open curve can hold its shape without anxiety. Closure is one form. Openness is another. Both can exist without strain. The space that opened at the beginning has not closed. It has simply become less noticeable. Nothing insists on being grasped. Nothing insists on being completed. Stone rests. Air rests. Structure remains. True wisdom cannot be captured in words. It is found only in the silence between them. No urgency follows. Only interval. And within that interval, capacity.